billion. And then 400 million for TB. I mean, sadly, we cannot address TB tapos na-impound yung 400 million for TB. And then yung 100 million autoclave na sinasabi ko yung for medical waste. So, I mean, if anyone's interested, I can give you more details. And I was saying in 2009 naman, 95 million for protected area. And so, a number of things.
What were the reasons why this were impounded?
God knows. I've been asking the Lord. I don't know. And sana man lang there's there's accountability, no. So I said nga, I told the then chairman of the Committee on Finance, Senator Angara, na next year I'll file a bill to remove the power to impound and to tighten the process so that we know, even kami in Congress, parang we have a sense of understanding naman really that the funds that we approve really go to those programs.
So they were reappropriated?
Well, they're impounded and then they're realigned. But hindi mo na matrace. Ang hirap i-trace where it went. It just goes into a general special fund and then...
So in other words, it's just nice on paper. But the moment it is withheld...
The moment it's with the president,
it's discretionary.
Basically, that's what happens, which is ridiculous because that's why I really believe that it's an unconstitutional law. The power to impound is an unconstitutional grant of power because the power of the purse resides in the Congress based on the Constitution.
But rather than just address the issue of impounding, shouldn't there be a real study of how the budget really should be made and how the funds are really allocated? Because there might be other...
But the impounding is one of it. But even itong, like I mentioned, and I'd be happy to give you guys a copy of this. There the invisible budget. There's a special purpose. The special purpose fund is a fund for special purposes, which are usually undefined. And there's so much money that goes into that.
And from what we understand, the savings,
106 billion was the amount pulled and put into special purpose. 6 billion.
How much is really the health budget?
Our health
Manibili
budget
told
right
you 1.3% lang daw?
Mga 2.3, mga ganun, 2.3. So, we're far from the 5% recommendation of WHO. This is the thing. And this is, and by all means, hold me accountable for this. But since I became a senator, every year I've been asking for the increase in budget, no? And best efforts naman yan as far as the chairman of the Committee on Finance. Kung may pagkukunan, di meron. So, dagdag konti. But this is my goal for the next 6 years. If every year we can increase the budget by 0.5, then after 6 years, na-increase yun ng 3%, and we will be on target at 5%. So that is my goal. And I will tell the Senate President, whoever it is, that this is the goal. Let's try to work on this. I will tell my counterpart committee in the lower house, and I will tell the DBM, and I will tell the DOH. Because if we don't do it that way, it will never happen.
Increasing the budget, where are you going to get the money from? Are you for additional taxation or for foreign borrowings? In what form are you?
2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, the Secretary of Finance made a statement that the next Congress must look into increasing taxes in order to meet the needs, no? And he specifically said the reason why there's a shortfall is because Congress now has been granting too many exemptions, and he pointed out the senior citizens law that I authored and sponsored. I beg to disagree. Kasi number one, first of all, I voted against the VAT. Voted against the VAT because I was of the belief that if you plug the gaps and the leakages, there really will be enough. But given as it may, nagkaroon naman tayo ng VAT, let's use it properly, diba? I took out the VAT from the senior citizens law because the Department of Finance manifested that it's only a loss of 56 million. 56 million is nothing. So we put it in. And then later on, ayaw pa ni GMA kasi ang laki-laki daw, 1-something billion. Sabi ko, well, why wasn't it presented in my hearing? I had so many hearings, I had so many forums, no? In any case, that's what it is. And you know what? We computed the multiplier effect on the senior citizens of the savings that they now have because they don't have to pay VAT is so big because they can buy more medicine, they can buy more food. It what do you call this? It feeds the economy. And I believe it was still the right thing to do. In fact, I want to take out VAT from other purchases like health equipment because it's stupid if people can't afford healthcare. They get sick, they can't work. Their families are burdened. So for me, healthcare should not be taxed. So I'm more for plugging the gaps. I really, really am. I will talk about taxation the minute I hear that the gaps have been.
Actually, that's where I'm
There's so much-
I
there's
feel
so
very
much loss
strongly
in
about that also. For
customs
me,
and-
it's more of plugging all those gaps and
Yeah,
it's more
I agree. I agree.
than just finding a new avenue for
I agree.
taxes
And I'm not just saying this, no. I mean, I really like people who are listening to me now, who are writing about me. Look at my stand. My blog, my Senate website has been up for, I think, most of my Senate years, if not from day one. And my blog, mydailyrace.com, has been up for about 2 years. I'm consistent with my stance. If I say something new, I'll tell you now, this is new. But otherwise, everything I say, I have been saying for years.
For example, the
I'm not saying it, no, because sorry, I'm just saying this. I'm not saying this because I'm a candidate now. No, I don't need to offer anything new. I've been very consistent with the views that I've been taking.
So for example, the tax tax, is that something that you would
That's interesting.
because it's been coming up time and again.
Yeah.
Every time people need money, the
Okay,
tax tax seems to come
the thing with me is I have an open mind about a lot of things. So when I'm not sure, I'll say that's where the hearings are for. That's where you have congressional hearings, so that precisely I can weigh the benefit of taxing or not taxing, or the benefit of this law versus another law. I would like to look into that. Now, what is the burden on consumers if you tax, tama? Tax?
Yeah.
Tax. What is the benefit to consumers or the downside if you tax? What if we don't? No, and what is the benefit to consumers? Like schools, no, because there's one proposal, use it for schools, blah blah blah, this and that. So I'd like to look at that. I'll look at that. I won't say no right away. I won't say yes right away. Have
because
an
it meant
open
to
mind.
impose, but again the funds again might not be released for the purpose that it was.
Well,
the tax tax
okay.
was
Speaking of funds not released, when the Senate was debating the VAT, no, and I was against it, I made my position clear, pero alam kong talo na ako sa vote. So I said, sige, ganito na lang, I'll make amendments. I made amendments to both the VAT law and the sin tax law, that proceeds would go to the following purposes, which included healthcare. So if you look at the sin tax law, and I don't have the computation, but something like 2.5% will go to PhilHealth, and another 2.5% will go to preventive healthcare programs. Okay? The year after, the next year after, the next year after, I was following up on the release of those funds. The funds were never released. When I finally got to the bottom of it, ang sabi ng DBM and ng DOH is that Malacanang considered it as part of DOH's funds. In other words, if DOH had, let's say, 1 billion in funds, in-incorporate yon, pero tinanggal yung iba. In other words, hindi nadagdagan yung pondo nila. What is the point? I mean, I specifically made that amendment to earmark additional funds for healthcare. Not so that it would take away other funds of healthcare. That's what happened. So, minsan nakakaiyak.
Senator, you talk about blogging and your website. This is my last question. Last question. What is your stand then on online media, libel, and copyright?
I've always been for responsible journalism. No? I mean, as a public personality, sometimes I do get slighted also by uncalled for remarks or talagang blatant lies, no? But I think libel should be decriminalized, no? It's still a civil suit because people should be responsible for their actions, but I don't believe it should be a crime. As for copywriting,